Future Sound Project podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Future Sound Project podcast. My name's Tom and this is my brother Jay.
Hello!
And today we're talking all about how to promote a show, so hopefully we should be quite good at this one, or maybe not. It could be debatable, I suppose. How you doing, Jay? All right?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think we're going to be out of our depth on this one. We've got Matt Williams coming on, haven't we? Who's worked for some of London's biggest promoters and worked for Royal Albert Hall as a booker. So, looking to learn ourselves, actually, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the people that Matt's worked with are really huge, and whenever we kind of see him down the pub or whatever, his stories of kind of the people that he's working with make us feel a little bit inferior, so excited to speak to him.
Yeah, it'll be good. Then we've got Connor from the Novus. Connor and the lads are doing great things. We really love this band, and they're doing DIY shows. So it's going to give us a bit of a few layers, isn't it? We've got Matt at such a high end, and then we've got us doing what we do mainly with local bands in the Birmingham area, and then we've got Connor who's putting DIY shows and just doing great things with his band there. What do you think of last week, mate?
Very good, very funny. Two good guests. Tommy was very good value, and Teeks, as always, is a good crack. So, it was a really good episode. I hope people enjoyed it. I think the feedback was pretty good.
I think people want Cobbs, mate. The feedback I've got is bring the Cobbs back.
I know. The problem is, mate, is we don't live at home, so it isn't going to probably allow us to come round on a Friday and steal our Cobb's bread and butter and cheese these days. So production line's probably going to take a battering.
Well, I kid you not, mate. I think I've had 4 messages asking for Cobbs, and then someone messaged this morning saying, I actually like the idea of a beach theme. I was like, we're going to be bringing it back in style. Maybe we do a podcast special gig and it serves Cobbs its beach theme, but with Mexican moustaches. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it would work, mate.
Yeah, do you remember our first show promoting?
Yeah, so obviously we're talking about promoting today, and we kind of have done what the Novus have done, which is with DIY shows. We used to do that ourselves when we were in the band, and then we actually took it a step further, which was like we were still in the band and started to promote shows under our band's name, essentially just to get money to kind of fund the band and what we wanted to do. And we used to do that at the New Hampton Arts Centre, which is an amazing kind of venue in Wolverhampton, and we started to do that there after we'd done our own DIY show there, and we booked some really amazing acts, and we actually managed to sell out our first show, which was 250 capacity. And I think the 5 of us here at the band were like, this is the easiest thing that we've ever had to do. And then about 5 minutes before the headline band went on, the fire alarm went off. And next thing we know, there's like fire engines and stuff. And the gig had to be cancelled. And there wasn't a fire. It was just someone that got drunk and climbed into the attic or something. But everyone had to be refunded. And we spent the next week trying to figure out how we were going to try and get the money back to everyone who'd come in. So in one night, we kind of had the highs and lows of promoting your own show, and everything in between of what can happen. So a good education, and we didn't think we'd be invited back, but nearly 10 years later, we're still doing stuff with Chris and the gang, so all well that ends well.
Mate, I think that one was probably about 2012, 2013 maybe. It's scary, isn't it? It really is. Right, shall we get the guests on?
Let's get them on.
All right then. Matt and Connor, how are you both? You all good?
All good, mate?
Yeah, mate, alive.
You're alive. You're doing all good, Connor.
Yeah, not too bad, mate.
I mean, I'm enjoying the fact that you and Jay have both got a Strombo today. Look at that.
Dream.
I know, living the dream.
Version of yours, but variety is the spice of life.
That is very true. And Matthew, have you got a beverage of choice?
I'm just on some water at the moment, mate. It's lean times in London at the moment, so yeah.
That is pure vodka. That is. Don't
I've
even
got
lie to
watered
yourself.
down Carlin. It's like drinking in our local pub, actually, isn't it?
Pretty much, mate.
But yeah, so let's just introduce you both. So first of all, we got Matt Williams. Matt Williams, do you want to tell us what you do? And go for it.
So I'm currently event producer for a promoters called Sirius down in London, who promote and produce like the London Jazz Festival, which they've been doing for a long time, and a lot of world and folk music. And I used to be programming assistant at the Royal Albert Hall, so booking a lot of interesting bands there and working on all their own promotions there. And I was also promoter's assistant for a short period at Kilamanjiro Live as well.
Tell you what, Jay, have you ever felt any more inferior in all your life?
I always feel inferior when I'm around Matt, in fairness.
Yeah, I know. I'm just a bit like, you say, I work for Royal Albert Hall, just like, I've worked the talk bar.
It's not as glamorous as you think, to be honest. But yeah, it was good. It's good to you get to meet a lot of people, obviously working in those sorts of places, which is always really good. And yeah, it's got me to where I am now, really, I suppose, with just knowing people and the things you see and stuff.
Yeah, wicked. I think we'll dive into that a bit deeper in a bit in terms of who you've got to meet on that kind of journey. Connor, how you doing, mate? Connor,
I'm good,
from
mate.
the Novus.
Yeah. From the Novus, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah,
you can't really follow on from that, can you?
Yeah, Connor is from the Novus. He's the really cool one in the pictures. Is Connor. How's things with you guys? You doing all good?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. We're just trying to live the new norm of virtual gigs and doing demos over the computer, and it's hard work, man. But
and how did you manage to get the virtual gig on? Because I did notice that one had to be postponed, I think.
Basically, I ended up just swearing a lot for that night because it was horrible. Because just like, with the shows we usually put on, we spend a lot of time there and there's a lot of risk, but we know in the end that even if there's no lights, no stage and no sound, you can still play something to the public, whereas online you just can't if it doesn't work. So it was horrible because we're in 4 different houses and it just wouldn't work through my computer. But then I sort of spent like 3 days sitting in my room looking at everything to try and figure it out, and it went really well, actually. We had loads of feedback. Apparently Skiddle have been...
Sorry, Connor, didn't mean that. Go on, carry on.
I said apparently Skiddle have been doing some research on it or something. I don't know. I've just through the grapevine today that they've been calling like people who bought our tickets for our actual gig that we're meant to be doing, and calling them asking how it went and if they enjoyed it. It was just like,
see,
weird.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because they're obviously researching that to see if that's an avenue to go down. Someone interviewed us 2 days ago, and that was one of the questions. It was, what do you think might be the difference in gigs after the lockdown? I think what you've just said there is actually, that's triggered that, hasn't it? I think people are probably thinking, like, if you don't mind me asking, did you have more viewers compared to how you'd normally get into a normal show?
Apparently we had live, I think we had something like 250, and we've done 400 at a normal show. But bearing in mind, quite a lot of people that come to see us, they don't really use Facebook that much.
They're
we
too
do have
cool for that, aren't they? Your crowd. That's too cool.
I love Facebook personally, but that doesn't reflect. So, but the video count like 2 days after was on a day after was on 1.3k, which obviously is more than we can sell tickets. But again, it's free and it's online and it's easy to access, isn't it?
So a question that I'd have off the back of that is, I was speaking to someone at a local church a few weeks ago, and they've started to do like Sunday services online. And the fact is, what they're saying is that they might get 100 people on a Sunday. They're getting 900 people watching the videos. What they're actually thinking now is that when we go back to normal, they actually might need to start catering for these people who don't potentially want to come to a gig, but do want to watch the service when they aren't at work, or when they, are walking the dog, or whatever it is that they want to do in their regular life. So, do you think that there's actually like a space in the market for what you're doing now? And I suppose for Matt as well, I suppose from Matt's point of view, is there a way of making that profitable for a band and for a promoter? But for you as a band, Connor, do you think that that's something that you actually could think that you might need to continue after this is finished, or is it just a stopgap of kind of putting a plaster over something until people can see you live properly again?
I kind of don't know at the moment, to be honest. In my personal opinion, I hope not. There's nothing I love more than going to a venue, it being absolutely rammed with people that share a love of music or share a love of the art that they're there to see. And while I do like the virtual things, I think it's quite cool and quite innovative, and we're all learning really quickly to make sure that we can do it. I'm enjoying the technical side of it, but then on the other hand, I'm thinking there is nothing more I'd like to do than stand on a stage and jump about with my 3 best mates. Do you know what I mean? But we'll see. I wouldn't mind doing a virtual gig when we're back out of lockdown. We can do it all together, like once in a while or something. But I really think, as I said on an interview we did the other day, as soon as this is lifted and everything's kind of getting back to normal, we just need to be out there supporting local venues, and all of us will, no matter how big or small the band is, like Liam from the Claws and stuff like that, playing as many venues as we can, ramming them, selling them as quick as we can to support these venues and get them back on their feet again.
Yeah. What do you think, Matt? Is this something that you and your booking company are going to jump on, do you think, or not?
I think it's an interesting thing. I think from our point of view and from like a band's point of view, I think there's quite a few like strings to it, really. As I think, number one, I think live streaming is great, and it gets lots of people out there. It gives people a chance who maybe wouldn't go and see Novus or other bands or other artists, gives them a chance because it's free, and they go, well, I'll put this on, see what it's like. They might like it, and then they'll start following them and support them. So it's good in that sense. It's also good because I think it gives people a different perspective of going to a gig is, and if things don't go back to normal as quickly as possible, people are used to going to gigs and interacting in that way. In terms of making money, I think that you just start charging for it. So you make it like a ticket. So you say it's coded, and you have to pay 10 quid, 15 quid, whatever it is, and you get that live stream. Then directly, you get like a link sent to you directly, and you'll be able to watch the show. So I think that's how you'll start to make some revenue out of it.
They go both hand in hand, though, because I'm thinking that and just thinking, well, surely there's something for everyone here. You could have a gig price, but if some way live streaming could be incorporated into your gig, which is at a venue,
definitely.
That might be the happy medium, maybe. I don't know.
I've been when I was at the Royal Albert Hall and through Sirius, we've been doing some shows before where they have actually been live streamed. So and that is something that someone has to pay for, because obviously people pay to go to that gig, and if you want that access, so that has been something that's happened. I just think that with music especially, I think there's been such a turn recently of people being present at the gig and not having their phones on, not recording stuff, and I think that's like a big thing as well. So I think the live stream element of a live concert in a venue, as it was, kind of drifted a bit, because people wanted to be more like, let's go way back to what it used to be, when if you weren't there, you missed it, and that was it.
No, I disagree. I think it's because people were just fed up of getting a beer chucked on them if they were recording something.
or not being able to see the band that you'd paid for because you got someone in front of you with their phone up.
I don't get it. I know we've all done it. I know we have all done it at some point, but just don't get why, if you've gone to see something, then you'd want to watch it through a screen like that big.
I also don't know who ever records the whole concert and then watches it again.
No one does it. No one does it.
Goes back out, have you? Ever. It's like when you record something on night out. Like, it's just embarrassing to even revisit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't even go on my phone at my own gigs. Like, people get pissed off because they can't get in because I had paper tickets for them, and then they can't get in because I don't answer my phone. I'm useless. Honestly, I'm useless when it comes to my phone.
That's actually something else to chat about, I suppose. In terms of the theme today, it's all about how we promote a show. So, paper tickets, online tickets. Jay and I have had this battle, where we've just juggled the idea of should we just go paperless completely, but I think there's actually something in the paper ticket still, and people wanting that physical ticket. What do you think, Connor? How do you do it with the Novus? Oh yeah, look at that!
Look at all these.
What does it say at the bottom?
At the bottom. Oh, that's my plaque that my mum got.
Please read it out. Come on.
Connor Hill, NYP, OBE, knob. That my mum decided to get for me, so that sits above my bed every evening rather than a dream catcher.
Your mum got you that?
Yeah, she did. Fucking did.
That's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Happy birthday, son.
Yeah. It was only a month ago, but it's fine.
I love it. You know what though? And that is the thing, isn't it? It's not quite the same printing off the online tickets.
I love. I mean, there's a couple of our own from our own shows up there, and you can. I don't know if you can see all the wristbands up there and stuff. But yeah. I love having something physical after a gig on one hand. So like, don't get me wrong. If you're like as big as bigger bands like Jaws, for example, I would say completely like if my promoter turned around to me and said we should do paper tickets for this, I'd be like, what are you on about? But for maybe like bands that are doing the O2 Academy 3 or the Sunflower Lounge or the Castle and Falcon or whatever, maybe smaller venues, and they're still getting off their feet and starting to sell like between nothing and 300 tickets, then I think physicals are vitally important because you get to engage with your fans then and say, okay, we're at this location for this day, come and meet us, you can come and get your tickets. And it's how you engage with people and keep their traction. And I love having paper tickets because it gets the ability for us to go out and give them to people, and also you can get the money beforehand then. So I
think the thing is, when we were in bands, Jay, we realised that you love your mates and you love the people that follow your band, but if you say, have you got your ticket? I bought it online, but the chances that they probably haven't, there is that little element of there's that security of one, building the relationship with the band, but two, we both know that people we want to sell tickets as a band. We go and give them the physical and collect the money off them, exactly as you said, and there is that fine balance. But I don't think that, and this might be wrong, but I don't think that, say, at our level shows, if we went completely paperless, there'd be as many people in the show. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think as well. I think that it's important for smaller shows, especially, to have tickets, at least some paper tickets. Like you say, I think security and people actually buying them, so you've got some revenue and people are actually going to come. I think also, like you say as well, it's a good thing. I think now people use tickets as a marketing tool. You can make it quite interesting, put some stuff on there, so it's something they can keep and go on. That band was really interesting, or that night was really interesting, and you list, like for you guys, like listing the bands on it that you've on that night or whatever. So yeah, and I mean, we've all got tickets. I've got tickets from stuff I went to see at like the Wolf and Hall and things like that, and they're smaller bands who obviously some of them went on to be very big bands, but it's a cool thing to have and a nice thing to have, I think, for people as well.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Jay, what are you thinking, mate? Where do you want to take this? Because we start to send out little things now with our tickets, just to make that a bit more personal as well. That because from a promoter, it can be very impersonal. You write the ticket, so we've started sending out little song lyrics and maybe some notes or links to our Spotify playlist. Just something when people open up like the envelope, it's a bit more of a treat. I know it sounds a bit weird, but
what I was saying before though is the fact that actually I know when we were in the band, essentially you start off with a fan base of say 50 people who are generally the people that you know, and then you need to give you're gonna go get to the point where your mates bring a mate, and then your mate's mate brings a mate, and your mate's mate brings a mate, and that kind of carries on. And as Connor said, we used to drive around for hours and deliver tickets to people that we barely really knew, but that link that we made, they kind of then felt that they had a personal kind of involvement with the band and the project of what you were trying to achieve, and that actually that then enticed those people to want to come and watch your band and then bring their other mates as well, because they felt they were part of something that was bigger.
I always say now, like, I don't know how many times I've said it, like, you can't just be a band now. You can't just be a band, turn up to a gig and play some music and go home. You've got to have something else about you, at least, you know, to talk to as many people as you can or whatever. You know, networking's God in our industry, really.
You have to be a salesman at times as well, you know, I think we got a lot of our opportunities. Now, Connor, I'm not sure you probably haven't heard our band, but we did probably better than.
I don't know if I heard of them, to be honest.
We probably did better than our ability suggested. We weren't awful, but we got more opportunities than other talented bands because we could sell, and that was sell ourselves. That was we'd sell tickets. You know, we'd put ourselves forward for any sort of the interviews. We were good at the social media side of things, when there might have been more talented bands who could probably write better songs, but they wouldn't get the same opportunities because of those reasons. And that's about being a bit more, isn't it? And I think that's, if we think about this podcast then as a whole, we've really got some good layers to this, because the Novus put on DIY shows. Jay and I put on local and very, very small touring bands. If we do, we've kind of stopped that.
Some DIY shows when we were a band as well. That's why that
we did do DIY shows, yeah, and we did do that, yeah. And then we've got Matt, who's working, you know, at such a inferior level to us. So, Matt, if you start with us and start with yourself, sorry, and then we'll go down. So, talk about the process. At your level, what your job entails, maybe when you're at Kilamanjaro as well, and just put a bit of the process to the audience who are listening today, just so they can kind of understand how it works.
Just in terms of promotion.
Yeah.
I think for us, I think the big thing you always start off with, things I got used to, is you look at where the band or the artist has played before, where they're going to play next, and what you need to do to get them to that place. So, you know, if some bands jump massively from, you know, 200 to 3,000, and that's a huge gap of tickets. So your promoting has got to be totally different to if it's going from 100 cap to 500.
Like a Sam Fender, potentially.
Or Fontaines. Fontaines DT is like a prime example.
I mean, a lot of those bands, I think, they've got great social media content, and I think they've got a lot of obviously big stuff behind them. They've been played a lot on the radio and things like that. So as a promoter, it makes your life a lot easier because they're out there all the time. For artists that aren't, so my role now is Sirius. We promote a lot of world music, a lot of, you know, Americana stuff that some people will have heard of, but a lot of people might not have heard of.
Yeah.
So I think you have to look at, for us, I think there's always a budget. There's always a budget of money that can be spent to promote it and to market it. And then you've got to look at where you're going to get your most footfall or the most readers, or, you know, is it going to be worth putting one ad in a magazine, you know, that we use, an industry magazine that everyone's going to see, or a jazz magazine, and that everyone's going to see, and then you think, well, that's got a readership of X amount, and we'll put that ad in there, and bang, it'll sell tickets, or we'll put it in Time Out London, and that'll sell tickets? Or do we think, actually, we haven't got the money for those massive ads, so what do we do? Okay, well, we'll flyer outside of our own shows. So we still do flyers as Sirius. We do like an a list of different shows on that we've got coming up. So people who come and see our work will probably want to come and see our work again. So we flyer a lot of our shows. Then you look at doing interviews with the artists. If they've got an album coming out, what stuff they're doing around the album, so that it's not always us promoting it, but we're promoting that. So the record company will promote the album and it'll be on, you know, Six Music or whatever. But then we'll go to our people and say, have you seen this great interview with this band? You know,
that's clever.
I did a show in January with Anais Mitchell.
Yeah.
She's got a new band called Bonnie Light Horseman, and they've just released an album. She'd sold out the Roundhouse at her own, and then the next night she was playing.
Great venue, by the way.
Yeah, cracking venue. And she was playing at the Lexington, which is a really small
I love the Lexington, man.
Yeah,
Such a class venue.
It's a class venue, and when you pack it out, it's an amazing place to be. But it was a totally unknown band, and we sold it out. Obviously, people knew her, but it was a totally different project, and people had just seen her the day before. And basically, we just got an interview with her and put it out there, and she was talking about Bonnie Light Horseman, and people came, and people wanted to see it, and people were interested. And it's one of my favourite albums of this year, actually. But that's kind of what you got to look at. And I think now as well with social media, it's a lot easier to promote bands because, like you guys were saying, you used to have to go around and drive to people, and you know, you lot go into people and physically flogging tickets. Whereas now you can put a tweet out, you can put a cool Instagram post out. It's a lot easier, and you can reach millions of people in one thing. Whereas like you guys driving round, you can only reach so many people, can't you? So I think that's an interesting tool as well for us as well, massively. You know, that little snippet, if it catches on, it can go really, really far.
We were talking on the first podcast about songwriting, all about how we really wish that we'd had the social media side, because I really feel that we had the salesmanship, so to speak, in the bag. So I'd love to have been in your position, Novus, putting on those DIY gigs, because we did that ourselves. But with us, Facebook had started kind of halfway between. There was MySpace we were mainly on, and actually it was really quite difficult. You know, you're making posters. It wasn't as easy as just going on to Google and getting a cool poster app.
Yeah.
It was actually quite tricky to make it look good, make it not look like it was designed on paint, which I know has now become cool, but before it was horrendous.
Well, it's getting that out as well, isn't it? It's getting that poster out as well. You guys would have had to pay to get how many printed. You know, you'd have had to think about it like that, whereas now you can create one poster and send it out and it costs you nothing. You know, like exactly. Digitally at least. So it's totally different now what you're looking to spend your money on, I suppose.
See, whereas I think social media has just created an extra avenue. You still have to do the physical side. You know, we did like a little not feedback, but sort of like spoke to people after the gig. And there were quite a few people there that had seen those posters and just booked online because the poster looked cool. Yeah. And like, what I find mad is that, you know, in the age of social media, people will still look at a poster in the street, think, oh, okay, I'll book that. We had 10,000 flyers and flyered like gigs every night for a couple months.
So, Connor, tell us about that show, because that got our attention, didn't it, Jay? Do you remember when they started posting? You've gone on mute, mate.
I don't think I am.
Oh, right.
I can hear you now.
I can hear you now.
That show, the way that everything looked around that show and the ideas that you had around the show was really, really clever. And because I think what I was going to pick up on the social media thing is that obviously it means that you can do all of these different things, but actually what it also does is it brings everyone up to the same level. So essentially a band whose kind of PR or branding would normally be crap, I actually can produce something that looks really good very easily. Yeah. So what you had to do with that was to do something that was completely out of the box, or think outside the box to find ways of making yourself different to any of the other bands who were of a similar size to yourself, which was really impressive, I think.
I think we haven't actually explained what Connor and the lads did, really. So do you want to explain what you did? Because we're kind of talking about it, presuming people know how you did it, and then what the outcome was.
If you didn't know what you're playing at, that's the problem.
Exactly. They not do the 10,000 flyers, you know.
We basically we were doing our first headline in Mother's Studio that we'd properly done, like in a long time. I think the last headline before that we actually did with you guys at the Flapper. I don't know if you remember that. But, that was like up until probably like the third or fourth gig we ever did, we'd never done a headline since. So we thought, right, let's do this something big. So we did Mother Studio, put a few lights in it, announced its secret location. It sold out, and we thought, oh, this is all right. And then we were walking down the street to get a kebab, and we saw this venue that had the doors open. We were like, oh, what's this? Like, and we looked inside and just spoke to whoever was inside, and it was like a massive warehouse, but there was nothing in it. And they said, oh, you know, we can't do it in here, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, we can, because I do stage management as a degree. Right. So, like, luckily that helps me out quite a lot with, like, knowing where to go for things. But I sort of was like, okay, let's just do something completely out of our comfort zone, like, altogether. So we had to, like, fully plan everything. Like, there wasn't even any rigging points in the place. You had to like put scaffolding up in the sky and in the air and everything. And we spent like 4 or 5 months planning this event and what we wanted it to look like. So we put all the stage, all the lighting, all the sound in ourselves. Had like set to make it look like a demolition zone. And then just sort of planned how we wanted the night to look. We had a costume change, which was fun.
Halfway between?
Yeah. We basically had like boiler suits on to start with.
I did see. Like, so the boiler suit picture of you is immense, and to be fair, you should get that printed right on behind you, like, because that's
above
really cool.
I want it on a canvas. Actually, I do want it on a canvas.
Bit of a shrine. But you had a Kylie Minogue costume change, yeah? Go on.
Yeah, we had a Kylie Minogue costume change into our like normal suits because the boiler suits are ridiculously warm. But like even that dragged some attention. Like people don't see bands in Birmingham doing stuff like that, and you know, we'd spent so long planning something that we wanted to just make it special and something people remember. And it was mad. Like before the lockdown got announced, and I was going to gigs at like the Sunflower Land, Castle and Falcon, Victoria, wherever. It was like I'd be speaking to people. They'd be like, oh, I saw you warehouse show, or I came to it, or I saw it online, or whatever. It looks sick. And, you know, for us, that's so rewarding for all the hard work for people to still talk about it now. And we appreciate it a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like 2 years ago, we'd have never thought we could be a band that people would talk about in Birmingham, and now we are. But
what I like about that, though, is that we used to think, Jay, about it when we were a band, about our shows to that degree. We didn't have the expertise of building lighting and the rigs like you had, but we would really think carefully about the plan and how we wanted it to fit and what we wanted to wear.
We always have a 6-month plan, which I don't think many bands have a 6-month plan these days. They just play as many gigs as they can, and we were always building to something. So, for example, we'd pick a venue and we'd say, well, we need to build the next 6 months to sell that venue out. So if it was like the Academy 2 or if it was the Ball for an All or wherever it was, we'd say, that's what our plan is, that's what we want to do. And then everything we did, all of our recordings, all of our touring shows, all of our support shows with like touring bands would all be around us hitting that mark. But actually, kind of, I don't think that many people actually think in that kind of way. It's kind of like we need to play as many shows as we can, and as Matt will probably know as himself, is that actually playing as many shows as you can just ends up splitting your fan base by
massively. I was just going to say there, Jay, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, mate. Is that I think it is about having a plan, and it's not. You see a lot of bands now, unfortunately, they jump too quickly. So they go from smaller venues and suddenly they're getting a bit of attention and they're really struggling to sell out the bigger venues. That has a massive effect on them. They spend a lot more money and everything else. You know, from my point of view, it's like if you're selling out 200 to 500 venues, keep selling them out. Make it so that there's 1,000 people that want to come to those shows. Then you can go to the next.
That's exactly what Idols did.
Yeah, then you go to the next thing, and then when you play that, you go back to a smaller show again. You know, now, you know, we know a lot of big artists who want to play smaller shows again. They're going back to play small, you know, they don't want to play O2s and things like that. And I think having a plan, you guys as well can, as you said, you looked at it and went, we've got to sell this many tickets, so we need to promote to get to this level, and we've got to do this, this and this. And it makes you a lot better as a band, and a lot better as a promoter, because you go, all right, what have I got to do to get them to this place, this and this? How can we do it? You know, you guys as the Novus, like, that's a cracking thing that you guys did. Really clever, really, you know, new. And it's something now that people go, well, I'm going to go to a Novus show because it'll have this, it'll have something to it. That element, it doesn't always have to be like that, but there'll be an element of, like you said, because you come from that theatrical background, and that's how you like your shows to be. It's the same as like 21 Pilots, don't they? Like all their fans like tape themselves in yellow tape, and all that stuff's become theirs, you know. And other bands are starting to do all the different things, and that's promoting. You know,
you've got to find innovative ways now, haven't you? And you know, I actually think like if your shows, you know, if you haven't got something else to offer, then people aren't going to pick you up. Do you know what I mean? The whole point of being in a band, I don't know anybody. I've never met anybody in a band that just says, "Oh, I just want to get to about a 300 cap venue and that's it." You know what I mean? Every person who's in a band wants to make it, and when there's like 700,000 million bands in the world or whatever it is, you've got to stick out and like
you've got to do something new. And as a promoter as well, there's umpteen promoters out there. You know, agents can choose from anyone, and as a promoter, you've got to be personable. I think for bands, you know, will want to go with someone who knows them, who's personable, who will do a good job for them. Not just like, you know, there's some massive promoters out there who will just go, well, I can sell thousands of tickets for you, we'll put you like, this is it. Whereas other promoters will go, look, we're smaller, but we're really invested in you, and actually I want to be with you for the whole journey. I want to be with you when you're playing 50 people, when you're playing 100, to when you are selling out the O2 or whatever. And I think that's a big thing as well, is actually like picking promoters that are the right fit for the band and the right fit for the artist, rather than just seeing someone's name and going, yeah, they're the best, let's go with them, because it doesn't always work like that, you know. And I think that's a big thing as well. It's like, for me, I want to work with people that I'm interested in, and because I'm interested in them, I'm going to promote them better than if it's something that, you know, I work on shows that I'm not so interested in, and I don't probably do, you know, as good with them as I do with people that I am really interested in, because I'm passionate and I'm like, you have to hear this band, you have to come to this gig, you have, you know. And that's a big thing as well. I think it's for you guys as well, you know, when you guys are playing, it's your music, and it's all you've got other bands playing with you as the Novus, which is great. And for you, Tom and Jay, you obviously were putting on bands that you are really interested by, or there's something that you've thought, actually, I really want them to like have a platform, have a voice. So
it's the development for us, really, Matt. As far as Jay and I are concerned, the reason we set this up in the first place, after the band, was all about, we didn't want to play anymore, but we definitely enjoyed being in music, and we wanted to try and pass on a bit of help that we could give, how you could get to kind of our level, anything developmental. And we're not big lovers of ticket deals and talk, you know, about that, but we try and pay more than we can tell that anyone else does, and we try and offer different things like recordings. But the main thing is communication. Like, realistically, we spend so much time just getting to know bands, talking to bands, and just gaining their trust, gaining their respect, and building playlists for people. You know, it's all your idea, Connor. You know, you put that out, and we were just like, I can do that, because, you know, we've got a host of bands. So Connor's idea was brilliant idea during, you know, COVID-19. Bands aren't obviously getting the money from shows and things like that. You know, what does anyone fancy putting a playlist together, kind of thing? So I just saw that and was like, absolutely, you know, like, and it's things like that will just help people to understand who you are and what your purpose is for doing it. And for Jay and I, getting to know bands and helping, like, for example, we have the Novus on. The things that they do from now on in will, you know, it's going to sound a bit cheesy, but will make us feel like, you know what, we've had a bit to play with that. And with the Claws, we had their first few shows. They've now signed to Universal. We had Risker's first few shows as well. We had Goddamn's first few shows.
I love Goddamn. They're such a good band.
Yeah, they're class, aren't they? Absolutely class. So if anything that we can just be a part of, even if it's just we've had them on a show, but if it's anything else and we've just got to know them and just gain their trust, and they can remember those shows, like Ivory Wave, whenever we see them, you know, we haven't had them on for about 4 years. Whenever we see them, they'll always go, thanks for those original Rainbow shows. They were mad, like, we loved them. And anything like that, that's what we enjoy. But you bang on, it's all about it's about getting to know who you're working with, and then maybe they might go, you know what, there are tons of other promoters about, but we know that you give a damn kind of thing. And I think the promoters do, but it's just all about who you want to work with, I suppose, isn't it? And
I think it's also, if you want to make a profit on those shows as well, like we didn't make a profit at all on that last DIY show, but we did it because we wanted to make a statement. So we didn't work with a promoter because actively and correctly, no promoter is going to want to go out and be out of pocket. Yeah. But, the DIY shows do cost us a lot of money, so we don't go with promoters so that we don't make them put money in. But also, we know that any promoter in their right mind wouldn't put a stupid amount of money into a show that will lose money eventually.
Connor, was there anything that you had? So we did a DIY show as a band, or quite a few, but our lead singer sounds a little bit like yourself. Always used to have a vision of what he wanted it all to look like, and he'd tell us the vision, and we'd kind of be like, no. But then actually, when the vision, he would always have what he wanted, and actually, it was always amazing.
I always have it. I always get it. Tom, the guitarist, is the worst because he just has. He likes it to a certain extent, but then let's say, for example, I wanted 10 lights, he'd be like, no, only have 6. For some reason, he'd be like, no, don't want it. But we had the last one, we had 30 fixtures of lighting, all the set he wasn't a fan of before, and the costume changed, but we just did it anyway, and then he loved it in the end. So it's sort of I really push along with that sort of stuff because I want it to look I want it to look like an O2 show in a warehouse. Do you know what I mean? That's the whole aim.
And those good things is, like you said, Connor's you might have lost some money on it and everything else, but you can then, like we were saying before, if you plan for that, you can then do the other 3 or 4 or 5 shows you do that month or that couple of months. You make them your money. You make them the ones that you're going to just earn some money from. So then you can put that gig on, and you can take that risk. I think especially when you're starting out and the level's small, you need to lose out a bit because you need to put yourself out there a bit. So you have to take risks, and you have to lose some money.
Yeah. It's crucial. Again, there's a secret warehouse show that was a couple of, I'd say probably about £1,500, £1,600 worth of hire just for the stuff that we had for 3 days. It wasn't just what you could see. There was also a loot and box van. There was also people to, luckily enough, Nils, who did our sound for us, he did it for Jack Hall, but we still give him a little bit because we appreciated it, whatever we could. We had somebody who did the lighting for nothing, but then something happened with the lighting, it went tits because they sent us a desk that wasn't programmed properly, so we had to have somebody come in and have a look at it on the day. There was so many people, and if we didn't have our parents and our friends to help set it up, who didn't have a clue how to set it up, they just had to be told what to do, we'd have been stumped because it costs so much money. Just a standard member of crew, you like to put lights up and down for a 12-hour day, you're looking at 150 quid, let alone the 19 hours that we did.
Yeah. Well, actually, when you we're all sat here talking about that show, and you've said that the amount of people who have spoke to you about that show that you didn't even realise were there or didn't realise would have even taken notice of it, the money that you invested compared to the amount of people that
makes the world
action, then actually you probably couldn't have put that amount of money in to have got the kind of kudos that you got from it. So
not at all.
Yeah. So actually, although it is an investment, it's an investment in your product, which is your band, isn't it? Really?
And the ticket sales really showed that for our next one that was going to happen on the 10th of April. As soon as we released it, the early birds were nearly gone. It didn't take long at all. And
that shows you that it works, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, precisely. And we put quite a few early birds out, to be honest. We didn't want to just be 20 early birds and then carry on with a normal price. We put quite a few early birds out there because we want people to be at the shows at an affordable cost.
It's also a way for you guys to see how many people, if you stick 100 early birds out there and they all go, you go, well, blimey, then that is really caught on then, isn't it? You've got a real sense of...
that was too cheap.
You go, what we're going to do, we need to change the secret location. It's only 120 cap.
Yeah.
I want to say that though, as soon as this lockdown is up and to the point where people can gather again as a gig, we are already in the planning process of making sure that the week after that happens, we've got a gig that we can do. You know, wherever it is, somewhere in Birmingham, the week after we will do a gig. Like, probably not on the mass scale of it, but as best as we can, because we want to be able for people to be able to come straight out and be like, okay, yeah, we can go to this gig now, and go and have a memorable night after so many months of, you know, isolating and blah blah blah. That's why I don't like the virtual gigs as much, because you can't have those production values and production levels. They're in a completely different space, like making sure that it streams at the same time and all that jazz.
Yeah. There's no crowd surfing for you as a lead singer on a virtual show, is there, mate?
I am crowd. You know what? It's funny you say that, because the first time I crowd surfed was that show, and I've always been petrified of it. And then my dad just grabbed my hand the first time in the crowd, me in, so I had no choice. But yeah, then I think I crowd surfed about 6 other times that gig, because I was like, yep, got to compensate.
You know what I love about that your dad was like right down the front, you know, getting involved, and that's just brilliant, isn't it? That's
it
really,
was nice
really good
to see at that gig, like how many of our family were there. Do you know what I mean? Like my dad, Tom's dad, especially, and Ewan's mum and dad, and all of us, all of our parents, to be fair, just want to help as much as possible. They were all there for like 16 hours at least, setting up the stuff, and then my dad drove around London the day before to pick everything up in that box van, and then we dropped it all back down the next day to save costs. So it was just like, you know, they spent hours and hours on end just trying to realise our dream. And you just got to have, if not family, people like the Claws again, for example. When they went to Paris, how many people went with them to Paris to support that? You know, that's amazing. They've got those type of people. When we went to Paris, we had the same thing. We had a good group of people to help us. It's just, you need the people around you to help support the shows and the ideas that you want, because otherwise they just won't happen. I'll always go back to my example of Fontaines DC, who I was lucky enough to see in a 100-cap venue in 2018 in London, just towards the end of 2018, for the Great Escape First 50. And I got to see them there, and I thought, oh god, these would be good at like Brixton or something, when, you know. And then a year later, they're playing Brixton, I can't get a fucking ticket. And they're just like, it's mental how they can go from 100-cap, where I got in very kindly on the guest list, to 5,000, where you can't even get a ticket for it. And that's because they've had good promotion, good people, and they've got people behind them who are willing to work hard for them.
So we're coming up to sort of the end now, but what I wanted to discuss was, there's probably some people here thinking about maybe doing a DIY gig as a band, maybe wants to come and work for a promotion company like Matt, maybe even wants to start their own promotion company like Jay and I. First of all, we'll go with you, Matt. What would be your advice for anyone that wants to get into your kind of circle? And then we'll go with our advice, and then Connor at the band level, and then we'll finish it like that. So Matt, what would your advice?
I think from my point of view, I think it's about finding out about the promoter that you want to work for. I think a lot of job interviews I've been, they're like, well, what do you know about us? You know, what bands we work with. Because a lot of promoters work with specific types of acts. So I think it's knowing what they've done, where they've come from, who they're promoting, and that's a massive thing. And I think also it's just being passionate about music and saying, you know, I've done this, I've got this band that I really like, I think they'd be really good, you know, I think we should be doing this or that or the other. And I think it's showing a passion for the industry and wanting to do something. You know, I think I've always got somewhere, I think personally, by saying, I like this band, I really want to do something, can you help me with it? And then they, you know, go, I think these guys could play here, that'd be really interesting. Or, you know, even when I was at the Royal Albert Hall, going, wouldn't it be cool when the Arctic Monkeys first play, you know, their show, they haven't played for so many years, they play it here and it's absolutely incredible, you know. And then that happened, but
hang on. So are you saying that you were the reason of getting Arctic Monkeys back to the Royal Albert Hall?
I wouldn't say I was the reason, but I think I had a good idea and spoke to the agent and stuff at the time, and the management, and did mention it. But I think it's more just having a passion. It's not just about the Arctic Monkeys. I think it's about anything like that. You know, I think it's about being passionate about the music and the people, and wanting to create those, like, we're all in it. And, you know, I think it's about, we love going to gigs and creating that interesting moment and that really cool experience. And I think that's a really positive thing as well. But I think if you want to get into it, I think it's about knowing what your jobs you're going for, and looking at who's promoting the shows, and looking at what they're doing and how they're promoting it and stuff as well, and being keen on that. I think now as well, like we've touched on, we've said a lot about like the social media aspect of things and how we sell tickets, and I think it's also would be really interesting to get to grips with that a little bit, and knowing how to promote stuff. If I said to someone, how would you go about promoting this, they'd have some answers for me.
Yeah. Jay, what about you? What do you think if someone wants to set up like ourselves, or maybe come on board with someone like ourselves, one of the local promoters, what would your advice be to them?
I think for me and you, it's kind of what your motivation is. So kind of our motivation isn't through making tons and tons of cash, but it's always been around putting on shows that we would have wanted to play and trying to correct some of the things that we saw when we were playing that we didn't particularly enjoy, and it's kind of developed from that.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd say is that the type of characteristics I think for us is that you've got to be organised, but mainly you've got to be really honest and truthful, because if you make a mistake with the band and they think that you've done it in a dishonest way, then that's going to cost you your reputation, which is the most important thing that you've actually got. So I think for me, it's about making sure that you're motivated by music or by helping or by kind of developing more than the chase for kind of money, which I think as we probably touched about before, not many people are going to get very, very rich off this industry, but kind of like you can have a really good time whilst you're kind of going through it. And then as Matt said before, if you're going to do it yourself, making sure that you're picking the right venues that follow the ethos that you've got.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it with a different company, make sure you're picking the company that follow that ethos as well. So, and I think Matt said something really important at the start. It's about finding a company or finding people that are going to surround you, that are going to actually be invested in what you want to do as an artist. And I think me and Tom have always had this kind of thing that we know what our role is. Our role is kind of finding bands at an early age and giving them their first few shows, trying to correct some of the mistakes that they might make, and then we're really then passing them on to people that can try and help them do bigger and better things than what we can probably do. But so we never kind of feel bad when that happens, because that's not kind of our role.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard work, and even like today, me and Tom have had a conversation about a show that Tom's booked, and then we've said, I've listened to the bands and kind of said, don't think that this band works on this bill, so we kind of then take them off. Now, all people may kind of just like say, oh, well, actually, we've booked the show, it doesn't necessarily matter, but I know if we were in that situation, that actually we'd want to play a band, we'd want to play a show where all the bands kind of there's a potential of cross-pollination of fan bases and things like that. So it's about putting the artist first and being true to yourself, I think.
I think you said a really good thing there, Jay, as well, about like it's not only just the artist working with the people, but if you want to be a promoter, it's working, like you said, working with those companies and those people that share that same ethos as you. Like you, obviously, I know you two, obviously brothers, but you share the same ethos in how you want to run things and how you want to do it. That's why you work so well as a team, and the people that come and work for you and come on board or come and help out have that ethos as well.
That's what I was going to say, Matt. It's the really important thing for me, because we obviously have staff, and we've had staff that have worked for us for quite a few years. We've had staff that have worked for us, short amount of time, but the one really important thing is, especially when working with shows, but anyone that ever would message on sort of the company's behalf, say over email, it's about being personable. Even, that is the most important thing, because whenever we're at shows, we want to talk to the bands, get to know what they're up to, have a laugh and a joke with them, and be interested in them. And so that's the most important thing. We had that chat last week on the podcast about running a gig. And what's so important to us with those people is getting people on board that can kind of project how me and Jay, our vision, you know what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, moving on then, Connor. For yourself then, another band wants to put on a DIY gig. I'm not trying to, tell people to copycat, but you know what I'm trying to say.
If they want.
Well, they're not going to do it as well, are they, mate?
Well, I don't know. I I would say, you know, if you're putting on a DIY show, then A, invite me to it. B, put me on the guest list. You know, expect to lose money on something of that scale. You know, if you're taking over a blank space, a blank canvas venue, then you're going to have to expect to lose money unless you're selling, like, you know, 500 tickets at £6-7 each. Then fair enough. Then, you know, you probably wouldn't call it a DIY show. But if you know, going even in terms of DIY, as in you go to the Sunflower Lounge, you decide to put a few more lights and a bit of set and stuff like that. You know, I would class that as somewhat DIY because you're doing it yourself. Yeah. I think actively have a look and spend time having a look around for the best deal. Again, there are companies out there that will help you, and will take, like the company we had the lighting off. I think they did it for about 40% cheaper than what we actually would have paid, because I explained what it was for and what our sort of ethos was. The for the many thing, for example, just because you touched on it earlier, we had 3 weeks to organise that because the blinders literally came and said, we want to do a gig in Stourbridge. Well, we basically said they said, what places can we play? And we said we'd do a gig with you in Stourbridge. We didn't have a venue, didn't have nothing. And then they said, yeah, okay, we'd love to do a gig in Stourbridge with you in 3 weeks. And we had 3 weeks to organise everything. There was no venues available. So we ended up having to hire out a brewery that had nothing in it. And in 3 weeks, using the goodwill of people to do things at really short notice. And again, it's all about building your contact. Never burn bridges with anyone, and always ask for somebody's number, is what I would say. Because, you know, I've done a lot of little things that I did, like at the civic halls and the town halls and stuff, when I've just done really basic shows. They might have bought a couple of pieces of stage deck with them, and I'd have gone, oh, is this your stage deck? If I do this for you, could I use this for my thing? And they're like, most of the time, it's sound. So it's just about, you know, being approachable and being personable, as we've said for the whole thing. Being personable is where you sort of, when promoting shows or being part of shows, is where it's at. And if you do it genuinely, if anybody ever does want to put a DIY thing on, then by all means, just, you know, message me on, or the band on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. We'll be happy to guide you through some stuff.
So Jay, let's contact Connor for some tips.
The band reunion.
Yeah, we'll just contact you now, just for the future sound.
If you want the Sex Pistols to play Royal Albert Hall, then you just got to get in contact. Yeah, you got to go to Matt.
Between the two of us, mate.
I think I have to say, you've both been just brilliant guests. I've learned a lot of you, Jay. To be fair, I've
loads.
I really have. I think it's really informative for people. You know, yes, I'm just thankful for you both coming on and taking the time to talk to us. Yeah, it's been really, really good, and all the best. I know things are really, like, you know, really strange at the minute, and you're all being creative at home. But
if people wanted to get in contact with either of you on Instagram, have you got like your Instagram handle that you could give out, or even if it's for the band or for the company, or whichever way you'd want people to contact you?
If you want to get in contact with us as a band, it's just the Novus band on everything. If you want to get in contact with me, it's just Connor the Novus on Instagram. Because I always get followers. When people follow the band, they follow me as well. So I'm just
Mine's a lot more DIY than that. Mine's just MattW_2 on Instagram, and then email. If people want to email me, it's mattmarks12@gmail.com. That's probably the best way at the moment. I'm on furlough, so I won't be getting any emails to my work email address. So it's better to do it like that. But yeah, no, I'm happy. Anyone can always contact me, or through you guys anyway, Jay and Tom, if people wanted to
speak to Matt, then we're more than happy to pass him on. He's a top bloke.
Yeah. And hopefully, Matt, you'll be helping us spread our wings in the near future.
Matt, you didn't mention about your famous people that you know, so we know Matt through like our group of friends, basically, and Matt took a couple of the lads who are Albion fans, with me and some Wolves fans, down to Wembley when Tottenham played there, and he was sat next to blooming Adrian Charles, who was also his flipping guest as well.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about famous people. Have you met me? I mean, you know, come on.
Lads, really got to say, my battery's about to go. I'm looking for my charger. it's downstairs. So we're gonna have to wrap it up.
I'll have to save that for another time.
Yeah, so
Adrian Charles.
All right then, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, like that.
Thanks.
Cheers.